what we're doing back there with the White House, but does it have anything to do with the fact that we took the Statue of Freedom off the dome at Capitol Hill? I think that's a pretty significant symbolic thing. During the Clinton administration, the Statue of Freedom is gone. Anyway, it's day 12 of the Raw Deal. Welcome, folks. My name is Rush Limbaugh, and we're here for yet another exciting TV show. Do you know what this is? Can we zoom in on this, John? Come on. This, oh, thank you, Jill. Here we go. I asked the studio audience prior to the beginning of today's, or tonight's, depending on when you see it, show, what this was. Somebody's beeper is going off. It was, it's all right, sir, don't be embarrassed. More, take us along if it's any good. More men knew what this is than women. I guess it's a sign of the times. If you're thinking it's a turkey baster, you're wrong. It's not what it's used. We're going to tell you on tonight's show what this has recently been used for. You won't believe it. This is Senator John Warner. Now, you've heard, I'm sure, as you've watched television, you've listened to the radio, read the newspapers, I'm sure you've heard all of the arguments that have been made pro and con on lifting the ban on gays in the military. You may not have heard what Senator Warner intends to do. I was at dinner last night after this show, and a guy was telling me he saw Senator Warner on TV say it, and I couldn't understand what he was talking about. He didn't have it straight. I read the newspapers today, couldn't find a word about it. Nobody has reported. I think this is the most important thing to have happened all day on Monday regarding gays in the military. We'll show it to you. This is General Schwarzkopf, and he has had his say about gays in the military, and I'm convinced, and so shall be you, when you hear what he has to say, that he listens and watches me on radio and television. I mean, it's almost a right out of my mouth. It's almost identical. And that, by the way, that is not to detract from General Schwarzkopf at all. Not at all. No. This is Leonard Jeffries. He used to head the Black Studies Department at Community College, City College of New York, CCNY. They threw him out because of a speech he made in the summer of 1991, which everybody said was racist. A federal judge on Tuesday said that his First Amendment rights had been violated when they threw him out, and that they didn't have the right to do it. We'll show you what he said, give you some comments from other speeches that he's made, and have some comments ourselves. And if we get here, we'll tell you what this is. Now, a couple of things here before. You're going to love it. It's a most amazing story. But we'll save it. This is called a hook. Now you're hooked to stay with the whole show to see what the heck we're talking about. I want to tell you something, folks, about which I'm very proud. The radio show has now reached its 600th affiliate. But, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. There's a guy in the front row applauding. Oh, I knew it all along. This is a special station. This is a station which transmits its broadcast signal to the world. Now, I want to make a point about something, too. We get into environmental discussions, and you know that the jungle is what they now call the rainforest. But it's a jungle. You can't say jungle anymore because jungle has overtones of third worldism. You can't say it. It's almost a racist thing to say jungle. It's a jungle. I mean, they don't sit there and say, boy, it's a rainforest out there, talking about it's a jungle out there, right? By the same token, have you noticed that the militant environmentalists talk about the damage we're doing to the planet? The planet, well, that's just a little sphere, a little circular. But when you say the world, doesn't the world sound more massive, much larger than just the planet? Right. That's why I don't say this station's broadcast signal reaches the whole planet. It reaches the whole world. Every nation on Earth has reported receiving the signal of this station. Here it is. WRNO 15.420 megahertz is the signal. And any shortwave radio will get, they make some very nice shortwave radios that are pocket size, no larger than a paperback book. If you're on a cruise ship anywhere in the world, if you find out what time it is, what time noon in New York is where you are in the world, you can get the EIB network on radio live. Put that back up there, Chet. 3.2 megawatts. That's lots of watts. That's Let me tell you, that's 3,200,000 watts. That's 5 times more watts than the average shortwave station is. This is the first commercially licensed shortwave station, by the way, in the country. It happened back in 1980. And so this has led to a number of people. I'm getting notes on CompuServe from people saying, Rush, you know, you'd better calm down now in your attacks on Clinton. Why, people around the world are going to hear you, and they're going to think our country's falling apart. They're going to hear you doing nothing but criticizing America, and they're going to think America's going down the drain fast, and you're going to give people the wrong impression of America. Now, if you think that, let me correct you. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Because it happens here in New York. You know, I got a friend, Bo Snerdley, who parks his car in a garage that's operated by a couple third-world immigrants. They listen to my radios. Well, it's true. It's what he says. They listen to my radio show, and they say, I can't believe, well, I would be shot in my country if I said about my president what your man says about his. That's the whole point. People around the world are going to listen to freedom. They're going to hear the American ideal, as expressed by me, not by Bill Clinton. They are going to hear this, and they're not going to think bad of America. They're not going to think ill of America. They're going to be envious. They're going to be jealous. They're going to hear me, and they're going to want to come to America. They're going to bust down the gates. It's going to cause an immigration nightmare. It's not going to give people a bad idea. It's going to give people the great, right idea about America, hearing me around the world. There you go. Radio Free Rush. See? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special picture to show you. And my chief of staff, H.R. Kit Carson, will be happy to see this. Yesterday, the first of 15 billboards throughout northern Colorado went up promoting Dan's Bake Sale and the fact that I am going to be there. This is the first billboard going up. And look at this now. That looks like my barber actually combing my hair. That's Vito, Stylist of the Stars. And actually, they're putting the billboard up. That came across the AP wire today. And it's a color billboard. And what? Yeah, it's a color billboard, first of 15. And that leads me to, yes, I am going to be in Fort Collins. Oh, there we go. Fort Collins, this is our moving billboard. You know, it looks like one of those road signs with the moving electronic light bulbs. Anyway, it's May 22nd. There you have it, Fort Collins, Colorado. I am going to be there, and we have a little viewer video that we intended to show you last Friday that we didn't get to. So take a look at this. This is the excitement. This is just part of it.
Go ahead, America. Dan's Bake Sale is coming soon.
Hi, Rush. Ditto's from Utah, the only state in the Union where Clinton came in third. You caught me getting my junket ready to go to Dan's Bake Sale. Tell Dan for me those cookies better be good. 1,000 miles is a long way to go to buy a cookie. Hope to see you in Fort Collins May 22nd. Oh, by the way, Rush, the trouble with this free enterprise is it can turn into a lot of work.
Now look at that. There he is. Now watch this. Watch this. Look at all those chartered buses. And there was the Snapple truck lining up to provide all the refreshments for people on the charter as they head to Fort Collins. They're expecting, we talked to Convention and Visitors Bureau out there, between 50 and 75,000 people for this, folks. But that was before I announced I was going to go. And now imagine what the crowd might be. Ross who? Back right after this with the rest of our show. Don't go away. Welcome back to Rush Limbaugh on television, sitting here, ladies and gentlemen, in the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. And again, if you're wondering why I'm holding utensil made popular basically on Thanksgiving Day, be patient, be cool, because we'll explain it to you in the final segment of our program. All right, gays in the military. I want to show you Strom Thurmond. And I'll tell you why. Have anybody in the audience seen Strom Thurmond's comments on this? All right. Now, Strom Thurmond is 90 years old, and of course, he's from the World War II generation. He has a different view of the world than people who say my generation or my parents' generation. Well, I wouldn't say he's different from my parents' generation. Probably the same view of the world, same thoughts. Strom Thurmond he doesn't care. He is not encumbered by trying to be politically correct. He's not encumbered by all of the so-called new niceties and proprieties. He just says it. And if you want to know what America used to be, and a lot of people wish it still were, then you'll listen to Strom Thurmond. Here he is conducting hearings yesterday on gays in the military, and he's actually talking. You won't see him, but he's talking to a homosexual. And what you also won't hear, he has just asked the homosexual if he has ever sought psychiatric help. Now, my friends, let's not chuckle. Be compassionate. He will ask the homosexual if he's ever had any psychiatric help, and as the homosexual answers, and then Strom continues. Here's what he said.
Your lifestyle is not normal. It's not normal for a man to want to be with a man or a woman with a woman.
He got a standing ovation. Now, people applauded that. People applaud because, Strom Thurmond can say it because he's 90 years old and people say, he's just an old coot, he's from the old days and so forth. But that's what most people think. They just don't have the guts to say it. That's why they applaud when somebody does say it that directly and that simply. But it wasn't just people of Strom Thurmond's age on Tuesday who were commenting about this. We have 3 clips, a sailor, a sailorette, and, we say that with, of course, good cheer and no intent to offend. First off, here's a sailor commenting on whether or not they should lift the ban.
It's kind of curious that Mr. Clinton, after breaking every other campaign promise, intends to cash on this issue.
Now, he said attempts to cash on this issue. Don't worry, Spanish is not the official language of the country yet. So cut him some slack. Now, here is, it's not a sailorette. What would you say? A wave. Here's a wave. A female sailor. Remember, just watch.
You're asking me to expose a part of my sexuality that's the only thing I have left in this military. And if you ask me to share that with a homosexual, then you've taken away that last little piece of dignity that I have, that I can possibly preserve for myself. It's no longer there. I'm stripped of it. Here again, I have no choice in that. Bottom line, if homosexuals are allowed to serve openly in the military, we need to take down the signs that say men, women. There are no differences at that point. We should go into a co-ed Navy or military at that point.
Co-ed, and I might join. Now, that's testimony from 2 people who are at present serving their country. Now, a lot of people said, hey, we shouldn't talk. We're going to ask them if they're going to go to Bosnia. No, but this is different, and we'll get to why in just a moment. It's crucial, I think, to find out how people who are going to have to serve alongside these new recruits feel about it in determining the policy. President Clinton, of course, not going to listen to any of this. He's already made up his mind. Now, let's go to General Schwarzkopf. He has weighed in with his testimony on Tuesday. This is good. Watch this, and you've heard it here before, but I think it's good to hear it from the general.
The armed forces' principal mission is not to be instruments of social experimentation. The first, foremost, and all-eclipsing mission of our military is to be ready to fight our nation's wars, and when called upon to do so, to win those wars.
There you have it. The purpose of the military. Exactly. The purpose of the military is to kill people and break things. That's what it is. And it's very crucial that when you get into that, it's always a last option in our country. We always hold it out as a last option. So we got to win. It's not the place to experiment with silly little social arguments that we're having in the rest of society. Do we want to take those arguments that we're having, say, about homosexuality and transfer them to the military, and can we expect the military to remain what it is if we do? That's what this argument's all about. Now, I told you John Warner is crucial, and he is. You got to take a break. We come back, I'll play for you what John Warner's solution to the lifting of the ban is, and it'll put in perspective for you why the testimony of the enlisted people is so important. Right after this. Now, if you're just joining us, let me retrace my steps to the very beginning of the show. We put a picture of Senator John Warner from Virginia up. He's a Republican. Used to be married to Elizabeth Taylor. By the way, Ms. Streisand, if you're thinking of marrying one of those senators you had dinner with last week, I would try to recount the Elizabeth Taylor experience with Senator Warner. Didn't do too well. You probably have more access now. The senator is upset about this universal lifting of the ban on gays in the military, and made a statement last night with Senator Nunn while touring a submarine of how he intends to deal with it. I didn't see this. I was out to dinner. I was told about it at dinner. I didn't quite understand it the way it was explained to me. So I read the newspaper this morning. I couldn't find one word of this. And this is the most important thing to have happened all day yesterday. Listen to Senator Warner's idea.
I have prepared a bill precisely allowing individuals to leave the military service even if they're now gay and fear coming out of the closet, or if they're heterosexual and feel they cannot work with gays. I sent that bill to the Secretary of Defense. It's been there 6 weeks as a courtesy to ask him what his views are. As yet, I've not heard back, so, Mr. Chairman, it's my intention to file that bill tomorrow in the Senate.
And Sam Nunn, of course, supports that. Now, that is an amazing thing. That's why the testimony from the enlisted people that we showed you earlier is so purposefully shown, and why it's so important. If lifting the ban universally is going to allow, they're going to try to get a bill passed, in other words, that will allow members to say, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not going to stay here under these circumstances. That sends them, I mean, that's really in your face, Mr. President. That's really getting in his face and saying, we're not going to just let you get away with this universal executive order. And this, I think, it is a great example of the battles he's going to have with Congress throughout his entire administration as he tries to ramrod these cultural changes that nobody wants by way of executive order. And so we applaud the efforts of Senator Warner and Senator Nunn and wish them on. Now, racism has been in the news a lot lately. It's always in the news. We can't get away from this subject in this country. Leonard Jeffries is head of the Black Studies Department at the City College of New York. Last summer, well, July of '91, he made a speech. Here is a portion of the speech. There was a conspiracy planned and plotted and programmed out of Hollywood with people named Greenberg and Weisberg and whatnot. Assistant U.S. Education Secretary Diane Ravitch is a Texas Jew and a sophisticated, debonair racist. You can't trust the white boy. These white folks, even good ones, you can't trust. We also have a little bit of a video. I think, do we have videotape of him? Roll the videotape. Here's some of what he actually said.
Russian Jewry had a particular control over the movies. And their financial partners, the mafia, put together a system of destruction of black people. Talk about self-image and self-esteem.
Now, City College of New York got together, so we can't have this guy as the head of our Black Studies Department. They kicked him out. He sued. Today, a federal judge said that he should be reinstated. They had no right to throw him out as chairman of the department. Now, that may be right. It may not be a crime to be racist, but tell that to Eden Jacobowitz, who's been thrown out of Penn because he called some black sorority sisters water buffalo. Tell that to Marge Schott, who was suspended from baseball for a year because she used... There's not consistency on this. Black people can get away with a lot more than white people can. We got to even the score. Got to go. Be back with one final segment. This. By the way, Eden Jacobowitz has not yet been thrown out of Penn. He might be. His hearing comes up in September. He called some black sorority sisters water buffalo. They claimed it was racist when it clearly isn't. All right, this is a turkey baster. But a woman in Cary, North Carolina, who is unable to conceive, went through $15,000 of in vitro fertilization treatments. They failed. So her sister donated herself as surrogate mother, and her brother-in-law donated his semen. They put it in here. Sister stood on her head in the kitchen. They sterilized this, and they got a baby. They got a 7-pound baby. The birth of a new career for the turkey baster, my friends. $15,000. It worked. This gave us a baby. Congratulations. And we'll see you. Adios.
Services provided and commercial fees paid by the following. Rush Limbaugh's Wardrobe by Rochester. Big and Tall.
Tonight at 9, the Master of the East is back on the mean streets of the West on an all-new episode of Kung Fu, The Legend Continues. Then at 10, get all the latest on real news. And now the Montel Williams Show is next on LA's very independent.
If you'd like to order a video cassette of Rush's TV show for only $24.95, just call 1-800-FOR-VIDEO. For a transcript, send $5 to Burrell's Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039, or call 1-800-777-TEXT.